Hello everybody, Theorycrafter here, back with another analysis, and today we are gonna take a look at some changes Riot said that is planning to do. It has mainly to do with tank items. So I have the tweet that Mark did it, and so they are addressing a couple of things. So they say wanted to share an update of projects in flight on the Summoner's Rift team. They own balance and systems. They are in rough priority timeline in order, but things can always change. So basically, first things are most important, and as we go down, it has less priority on working on that. The notable new project is aimed at reducing systematic mobility in places where it has crept or gone too far. So basically, I don't even have to analyze that, but all over the years, the game has get so much mobility. Uh, every single new champion has some form of a DAS, or perhaps playing new items have mobility with items like Gale Force and Stride Breaker, and that makes the game really unfun for non-mobile champions. For example, Udyr just recently got in the meta because of the fact that how busted Turbo Chem Tank was, but as soon as the item was nerfed, it stopped being a good champion altogether. So the first thing they want to work on is tank legendary item options. They say that they will reduce the mandatory status of Thornmail, but also boosting a bunch of underused items like Frozen Heart and Warmogs. So right now, Thornmail is a pretty good tank item just because of how value Grievous Wound gives. So most top laners can get a Bramble Burst, and basically it helps you win the trades. And as soon as you upgrade to Thornmail, because in the past there wasn't much of a reason to upgrade from Rumblevest to Thornmail, because you had already the Grievous Wound, right? But since the pre-season, instead of having 40% uh, Grievous Wound, you have 60% if they are low on health, and that makes Stormmail a pretty good upgrade for tanks. I mean, perhaps even some fighters on the later stages of the game. And I don't know how they will exactly nerf that. I'm kind of happy that they will also try to buff Frozen Heart, because Thornmail is an AD item, and if you reduce the power of armor items, what ends up happening is AD carries will become even bit better. And I hate to say it, but I think AD carry is the best role right now in the game. So the most underused items in the game for tanks, as they say, is Frozen Heart and Warmogs. Especially, I think Warmogs. Frozen Heart, I don't even think there are that many champions that can actually use it reliably. I could think of Nasus perhaps, and even then, I don't know, like on some very specific matchups. So Frozen Heart is more about combating people that are really reliant on auto attacks and attack speed. But I think right now the radius is way too small, and also in the early game you can't really buy it because you want an item that brings health, right? Because in the early game, health has, in general, and especially against good drafts, way more value than it has way more value than armor or magic resist, just because it helps you deal with both and with through damage, of course, which is not as little as people expect in the game. Take, for example, Kraken Slayer, right? Frozen Heart is kind of bad against Kraken Slayer. And Kraken Slayers, AD carries, if they are against tanks, they're gonna take the Kraken Slayer. And there's also so much armor penetration in the game right now that is so easily accessible. And in the past, if you weren't an Assas never really had that much armor penetration. AD carries did, but now with Cerildia's Grats, you can have armor penetration even on assassins and fighters, especially fighters. And armor, I think, in my opinion, has lost a lot of its value. And I'm kind of curious. They already tried to buff Frozen Heart, but I don't see much of a difference. And the other item that I really like, and I know exactly what's the problem with it, is Warmogs. So Warmogs, sure, it gives health, right? The thing is you can't have it in early game. The reason being, you need to have at least 3000 HP to activate its passive, which basically is the identity of the item. And I don't believe uh, any change they will do on Warmogs will affect this. Maybe they could work with the numbers or work a little bit with how it starts proccing. But when people think of Warmogs, they think of the passive, right? And I don't think they really want to change that. So, in my opinion, the big problem with Warmogs is it's an item that you're supposed to get as perhaps third item, without counting boots, or fourth item if we count boots. But at this point, most games have already finished, and it doesn't bring any resistances, so you can't just buy health to activate the item passive, because in order for the health of Gormox to bring value, you already need a couple of armor and magic resist. So maybe they could, nerf a little bit the stats, but also reduce the cost so that you can buy it earlier. Another idea would be to change some components, because going for raw health components is kind of bad right now. And like, there's so many champions that could do nice use of Warmogs. The most, the one that comes to my mind the most is Soraka. So the last couple of days, I'm experimenting on Soraka and trying to build Warmogs. And it's once you build it, yeah, it's fine. And that's another problem, it's just fine. But the main problem comes from the fact that the components and all the road to going to the Warmogs is really, really bad, right? So even if we talk about top laners that have higher income, like Sen or Mudo and all these champions, yes, they take Warmogs, but there are a lot of ways you can actually counter Warmogs with items like Blade of the Ring King, with runes like I don't remember the name. I will have put it, and you can see it right now, but I don't remember the name. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. So maybe they could nerf even the passive. Like, the passive is there, and it's good no matter what the numbers are, right? So maybe they could somehow nerf it, and nerf like, not actually nerf the stats of the items, but just it gives less stuff, but it's also cheaper. Or I don't know, maybe they get away some health, or they remove the threshold, or they get health from the item and they put some resistances in it, which then it would kind of destroy the identity of the item. I don't know. I'm really curious. You should really write down in the comments what you think Riot should do with Warmogs, because I think it's a really fun item, an amazing counter to sieging compositions. And I was having a talk with a bunch of people the last days regarding Warmog and sieging compositions, and what we conclude is that right now there is not such thing as a sieging composition. Like, sure, you have champions that can do sensing, slice, poke, but you don't really see that. Because sensing compositions are hard countered by engage, right? Which gets countered by disengage. So, I don't know, like, sure, Because let's think about what items, what champions can do sinking and be viable in higher forms of the game, right? Because obviously in low elo, there's no such thing as coordinate. Let's have pro teams in our mind, okay? To make things easier. And this obviously could apply to everything, but let's think of pro teams to make it a little more standardized. So we have Jace, I guess. We have some early cards like Zing, no, Jinx can do Sinzing. Ziggs is not in the meta right now. It can do Sinzing. You know, there are not so many champions that are like even if we talk about just pure poke, right? Like Nidalee or I don't know, uh, Zilean, Ziggs, all these type of champions, Xerath, Vel'Koz. These champions do not see a lot of play, and I don't know. It's a good item, but like you hurt yourself through the process of taking it, and most of the times, by the time you have taken it, it doesn't really matter anymore. Next on is reducing systematic mobility, a new project that we are ramping up. This is going to be both addressing major mobility outliers that go too far, breaking iterating weaknesses, like Stridebreaker. So Stridebreaker, in case you're living under a rock, made champions like Darius viable in high elo, and just by that you understand that there's a serious problem. Because Darius, yeah, he's a low elo stomper, but he's perfectly fine in higher elo, assuming you don't blind pick him, right? So basically they want to remove from items and runes, they do not plan on changing mobility in the champions, which for me right now it's the main problem, but anyway. So mobility and runes. How many runes? Relentless Hunger gives mobility, Boots give mobility, and water walking, and yeah, pretty much, and Alacrity, right? And from items, we have Gale Force, we have Stridebreaker, Deadman's Blade, and a lot of these items, if you don't have the mobility aspect in them, they are kind of, yeah, I don't know. I think they will mostly work on items that are built on immobile champions like Stridebreaker, but I don't know. We will see how that goes. For example, with Gale Force, one thing they could do is they could reduce the actually, they could increase the cooldown of the item or make the dash smaller, but the execute is doing more damage, perhaps. Because they say that they are planning to do power shifts. So basically, they don't want to nerf the items, rather nerf the mobility the items give. After that, we have Kentz. In case you don't know it, Kentz is going to get a rework. They have said that quite some time now, like some months ago. The main idea is they wanna. The main idea of Kent's rework is they want to change his W, because basically right now, Kent's is useless. And he's useless even improperly. And I don't care what people say. Kent's is such a bad champion right now. Like, there's such so much better peeling supports. Even Brown is better, for example. Taric can be 100% viable. No idea why they don't pick him more. Taric, Kidret, because Kidret is the answer to Morgana right now. Taric, Kidret do a nasty combo. Lulu, like even Lulu with some hypercarry could be better peeling than Kentz. So the main idea is they want to change his W with his ultimate. Now, I'm not sure how they will do this, so basically a weaker version of his ultimate, a stronger version of his W, I guess. I'm not sure what exactly they will do. Think of it as the small Diana rework. I don't know if they will change, like, because they talk about art, right? So I don't know if they are meaning the abilities and their animation, or we will have a visual change in Tamkins. Right after that is top agency, a split pushing. That's for you, fellow top lane mainers. So continuing the work to increase top lane agency and the viability of split pushing. Current, Currently, we have a split push focused fighter item, a split push focused tank item, and some adjustments to outer turrets to make them a little bit more valuable. So, because, okay, there are two main ways. Like, there are actually three ways to play top lane. One is to take a dominant early game champion, most of the times it's a bruiser, and win your lane. The other, and that's something we see a lot in pro play. The other thing that we also see in pro play is tank top laners, things like the Sen or the Sion, which basically can't hard win the lane, although some champions can actually uh, get even, if not ahead. And in solo queue, they can even get ahead, like Sen, that have really good. So tanks with really good early game, and they become a secondary support for the team. The third way you can play the top lane, and the one that high elo players use when they are smurfing in low elo, is split pushing. So you got champions like the Jax or the Camille or the Yorick, the Tridammer, and you basically split push. Split pushing is the art of pushing a side lane while your team is on the opposite side. So basically, you get some pressure out of your team, giving them the opportunity to go for objectives or to shoot some target or whatever, right? So split pushing right now is not that good. I don't care. Like, it's not bad, but I don't think it's amazing either. So split pushing can actually make top laners winning their lane meaningful, because top lane, the only way they can impact the map is through the teleport, right? So let's say you're in top lane, right? You are hard winning your lane, but your bot lane is feeding like there's no tomorrow. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, you have to go to the mid game and hope you can fix the mistakes of your team, but if split push is strong in the meta, you can just split push. And if their defending AD carry comes to defend, you kill him because he's an AD carry and he can't defend. So you get 2, 3, maybe 4 people to defend one turret for you. So I really think that's the right way for them to increase top lane agency and make their role more viable. Because right now, top lane, I think, is the most bad and weak role of all the 5, whether we are talking about solo queue or pro play. Right after that, we have Sona. Sona was planning to get a mini rework, so they wanted to change her passive, if I am not wrong, and make her to kind of stuck somehow, like by hitting swords. Like when you hit your, I don't know, your passive, you were getting some like stacks that gave uh, ability haste, and there was a cap, just like Senna, and after that you get ability power. They kind of stopped that because there was MSI, and they decided to do that right after they finish with Pumpkins. So I think we will see the Sona change around late June to early July. And the last one is Defensive Enchanter Legendary. This is still in the work, and we have some designs that are trading well, but it's behind these other projects in our priority queue, so don't expect it in a patch soon. I don't know if I'm super like hyped for that, although I main support. I can't really see a universe that defensive enchanter. Actually, a defensive enchanter item together with um, perhaps a lower reduced or better Warmogs, it could make Soraka a viable champion. Like make Warmog Soraka a viable champion. Because the main problem with Soraka is how squeezy and immobile she is in the team fights. It's like playing an AD carry. You literally have to stay alive no matter what. Not to do damage, but to heal your allies. So if they put a defensive insider item, because right now there are not many defensive items, so you have uh like insider items give health, but they are not actually defensive items. Though the main problem insiders have, I mean, not problem, they just need at least one item. After that, they're fine. Is mana regen. So I don't know. I mean, there isn't so much problem of like the mana problems are not that high. Maybe if the defensive enchanter item gave a little bit mana regen, it could give less mana regen and perhaps not ability power, but give some nice armor and magic resist. And I'm curious what if it will have any active, because it's legendary item, right? So I don't know. I don't know. It depends on the changes, but I could see Warmogs Soraka with defensive enchanter item to be semi-viable. Semi-viable. Like, I don't think this will happen, but yeah. This will make enchanters more viable in the meta, because enchanters really struggle against divers and assassins, and it's really hard for them to survive. It's basically like playing 280 cards, and you get one frontline slash engage from your team, and hope people will not will not focus you. Overall, yeah, here we see people crying. Overall, I think that are some really interesting changes. This was tweeted 3 days ago, and I definitely the thing that I'm looking forward to the tank legendary options. I think that's really interesting. Mobility, I mean, that's nice, but like it's not hype. Kentz, I'm a support player, so I'm curious how this will turn out. Sona is also one of my main champions, so I'm kind of worried they will just perhaps overtune her and make it so that everyone plays Sona, which is kind of sad. And top lane agency is my third most favorite change, because in the past, like 2 seasons ago, uh, I had climbed playing top lane, and since season 8, top lane doesn't have a lot of agency. Like, they are not bad, it's like, it's not the reason you can't climb, but it's definitely easier on other roles. So, TLDR, pretty nice change. I don't know, if you have any question, leave it down in the comments. Also, don't forget to write what do you think about the changes. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe to not lose any future analysis. Some really nice content is coming to the channel in the next weeks. So right now I'm working with the Riot API to do some more some better analysis. So right now I'm working with Riot API, try to see So right now I'm working with Riot API to see the importance of KDA in League of Legends. So this will soon be released. I don't know how soon, but make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't lose it. My name is Theorycrafter. I hope you like the video, and I'll see you on the next video.